Thanks for joining us today. My name's Ben Stratton and I'm the SA K-12 Sales Manager for Compnow. I'd like to introduce you to a couple of our guests we have. One is Sean Bates, the Director of ICT from Pembroke School in South Australia, and also Jesse, Director of Sales for Verkada. Verkada combines security equipment including cameras and environmental sensors, otherwise known as vapes, and that's what we'll be focusing on today. Just want to tell you a bit of a story about the weekend. I was walking with my children getting lunch and I walked past a school and there was a bright purple box on the ground. And it did what it was supposed to do. It got my attention. It was a berry flavoured e-cigarette and it was very appealing. It had cartoon pictures and bright colours on it. This is a massive concern as vaping is often seen by young people as a safer alternative to cigarettes. However, there is also dangerous substances that have been found in vapes, including weed killer and nail polish remover. It also has long-lasting dangerous effects on both the body and the brain with links to mental health and depression. Vape sensors play a crucial role beyond merely alerting us to students vaping. They also provide to exist protection to students in our schools, government, Catholic and independent schools like Pembroke. Sean, can you tell us a little more about Pembroke?
Absolutely. Pembroke is a co-educational independent school located in the eastern suburbs of Adelaide. We have about 1,800 students ranging from R to 12, and my role at Pembroke is to make sure that we are supporting the school in providing strategic technology platforms that really help teaching and learning within the school.
Thanks, Sean. And Jesse, can you give us a rundown on what Verkada is and how it can support an education environment?
Of course, Ben. So Verkada is the world's most advanced physical security platform. What that means for our customers is we're combining things like access control, cameras, environmental sensors, alarms, a guest check-in platform, all into one hybrid cloud solution so that our customers can access all of those products through one user interface.
Thanks, Jesse. What a great rundown. Sean, can you give us an idea about why you decided on a modern security solution for Pembroke?
Absolutely. Well, a lot of it comes back to some of the things that Jesse mentioned before, which is we were really looking for an integrated platform. So things that could include cameras, sensors, guest check-in, all of those sorts of things that really pull the whole thing together. Some of the other reasons that we really liked the Verkada solution were its cloud-based, modern technology platform, so we're not having to worry about things like on-prem NVRs.
That's a great point. How does Verkada differ from traditional on-premise security versus a cloud solution like Verkada?
So one of the big factors for us is that we don't have to maintain on-premise based equipment. We don't have to worry about storage and archival of footage, and that's really one of the key differentiators for us.
Yeah, Ben, I think what you'll normally see within our market is an end user like Sean here is stuck trying to tie different solutions together, whether it's your alarms from Chubb, your camera manufacturer, your VMS, your guest check-in platform. Someone has to tie all of those together and make sure that they're working like they're supposed to. Verkada offers that all-in-one solution so that if you do have an issue down the road, you can come to our support team, which is available 24/7.
Thank you for that. What about the best place to put cameras and vape sensors? Do you have any pointers about the best locations to choose and install them?
Yeah, so education's our top vertical worldwide. We sell to more education customers than any other vertical that we work with. And what we've seen in that space is trying to drive that misbehavior outside of the bathroom. In order to do that, we're putting those sensors in the bathrooms, roughly one sensor for every 2 stalls that we have, and then cameras on the outside of the bathroom.
Okay. And what about you and your team, Sean? What part of the Verkada system do you use on a regular basis?
So I think there's a lot of areas about the Verkada platform that we really like, but some of the really key points for us is it is a modern platform. So there's a modern mobile app, there's a web interface, and the learning curve actually is really low. So the ability for my team to actually get upskilled and across how to use the platform was really quick. And it wasn't something that we had to sink huge time investment into.
Brilliant. Let's talk about vaping for a minute. It's an uncomfortable topic, but it's an important one to have, particularly inside of schools. As I mentioned earlier, it's becoming far more common for students. Around 4 times as many students are vaping than using traditional cigarettes now. How are you combating this, both on a national and international scale, as well as inside a Pembroke school? Sean?
Yeah, so for us at Pembroke, we really wanted to understand the scope or the scale of vaping within the school. We really didn't have solid or hard evidence in terms of is it a big problem, a little problem or not. And so the Verkada solution was really key in understanding that and being able to correlate events both from cameras and from sensors to give us that evidence and inform our next steps.
And Jesse?
Yeah, so people like Sean are much closer to this issue than anybody at Verkada would be. So taking customer feedback is extremely important to us and how we advance our solution going forward. You know, version 1 of the vape sensor that we offered 2 years ago is very different from what we offer today. The reporting behind that, the access to alerts behind that has all changed based on customer feedback.
Thanks, Jesse. Sean, you've got around 1,800 students here at Pembroke. How do you go about ensuring the privacy of data and keeping student data protected with a cloud system like Verkada?
Yeah, so that was something that was really key to us when we were doing our evaluation of various platforms and systems. And what we found with Verkada was that although it's a cloud-based system, all of the data is stored in local Australian regions at our request, as well as locally on the cameras. And the final piece to that was really around the transmission of that data, which is all securely encrypted, which gives us and our community that peace of mind that that data is safe and secure.
Thanks, Sean. And what are the benefits and outcomes that you've realised so far since installing the Verkada solution?
Well, really, prior to the Verkada implementation, we only had anecdotal evidence or ideas about the issue of vaping within the school. So we really wanted to get some objective data around that. And since implementing the Verkada platform, we now understand when it's happening, who's involved, and we can correlate those events really seamlessly. We've got approximately 30 cameras and about a dozen vape sensors, which really give us that ability to link all those events together and give us that hard data so that we can actually quantify the issue within the school.
Yeah, Sean's in a similar position that we see a lot of schools in, that quantifying that issue is the first step that you need to take. Which is why we offer a free trial program for any customer that's interested in testing one of these out. They can put it up in a bathroom at no cost and really understand how bad their issue is.
Thanks, Jesse. And how about false positives? Are they a concern or something you come across often with the Verkada vape sensor?
So one of the best parts about our solution is that we offer automatic firmware updates. So as we're releasing new features, new software to support whatever issues we run into, Sean doesn't have to worry about running around campus and installing those himself. Those automatically come out for Verkada. So if we run into a false positive, the team can look at that, make the adjustments to the solution as needed, so we don't see that again.
Thank you. Can we talk about what happens with the process of when a vape sensor is triggered, Sean? What do you do, and what is the process inside of Pembroke to become alerted to that and act on that sensor alert?
Yeah, so really we've provided access to the Verkada platform for specific senior staff within the school. So if they become alerted to a vape sensor going off or some sort of correlated event involving a camera, they can actually see that alert on their device and respond to that alert appropriately.
Brilliant. So it's almost real time, so you're able to have that alert and then go and capture that event occurring in real time and follow through with the appropriate behaviour remediation at that point.
Absolutely. That's awesome. The beauty of it.
Yeah, each user can choose how to receive that alert and when they want to receive it. So if Sean has people that work 3 days a week, they can get those alerts on that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whatever it is. Some users will receive alerts via email, some users will receive alerts via text message, but they have that choice.
So Jesse, can you explain the visibility that you have as Verkada over individual schools, including Pembroke?
Well, let's talk about privacy and access, right? So first off, Verkada does not have access to an end user's environment unless that end user grants us access through a support token. So Sean has the ability to control how long we have access and what we have access to. For example, if he has an issue with a user's permissions, I don't need to see video or images, right? So he can turn that off and we can help him with that issue. At any point in time, he can revoke that access. When we look at security on the device itself, everything is encrypted at rest and everything is encrypted in transit up to the cloud, and there's no inbound tunnels going into his network. It's outbound only from the camera to the cloud.
Fantastic. What about your visibility, Sean? How have you got access to view the Verkada system? Is it something you can only do from an office PC or something you can do remote as well?
So this was another part of the Verkada platform that was really flexible and that we really liked. So Pembroke has developed their own internal policy about who and when people can access that platform, which is very tightly controlled. But the flexibility of the platform is what really gave it its power. So for example, at Pembroke, we have MFA turned on for all staff who have access to it. But as I say, that's only a very select senior group of staff.
Fantastic. And can we talk about the installation of the cameras? How complex was the installation, and did you have to have special cables put in, or was it run over your normal traditional network?
So the Verkada cameras all run over standard Ethernet, Cat5, Cat6 cabling. However, I would probably caution people to be aware of where their cabling is and where they want to position cameras and all of those sorts of infrastructure related questions that go along with it.
Because you typically wouldn't have a PoE run going into a bathroom, would you?
Not normally.
Yeah, Ben, I think that highlights the importance, of a walkthrough with whoever's doing the installation, right? They need to understand the environment that they're going into. When it's time to do that installation, it's really important for that person to have access to command prior to coming on site. There's a simple QR code on each box. So tying that camera or that sensor to their command instance is very, very simple. Scanning that QR code, naming that device, and then moving on to the next one. It'll take about a minute for each device to get up and running, access to the internet.
Brilliant. Jesse, you mentioned earlier about the ability to do a proof of concept. Is there an ability to be able to leave that in place after the fact if the school decides to keep it in place? Can we just leave those sensors and cameras there?
Absolutely. Yeah, our trial devices are brand new. So more often than not, when that trial device goes up, it doesn't come down.
Fantastic. And regarding the installation, I can also confirm that Compnow has certified cabling contractors that we can leverage and bring out to your school to be able to support with the installation of the structured cabling as well. Thanks, Sean, for your partnership with Compnow with Verkada. What other services and solutions do you leverage Compnow for?
Yeah, so we actually have a great working relationship with Compnow. We utilise Compnow for all of our device ordering, as well as Verkada that you mentioned, and also some on-site managed support.
Thank you. What about future needs for Pembroke? Have they been considered with this implementation of Verkada?
Absolutely. So this was another area where Verkada were really strong. So as I said, we looked at a number of different solutions in this space, and one of the big attractions with the Verkada solution was that we could expand it as much as our needs actually require. So for example, if we decide to do some big new construction work, we can add to the platform as much or as little as we need, and we're not constrained by any sort of physical on-premise hardware or maintaining some sort of infrastructure that then needs to be replaced.
Yeah, total cost of ownership tends to be a very, very important topic that we discuss prior to these deployments. Just in general, in the physical security world, you see a lot of products with short warranties, right? Verkada has a 10-year hardware warranty. So Sean doesn't have to worry about finding budget if a product goes down at some point. Right? If it does, he reaches out to our support team. If we can't fix that product remotely, we're going to overnight a new camera or a new sensor to him so he can be up and running. If there's new features that are needed 3, 4, 5 years from now, Sean doesn't have to worry about buying another version of our license to keep up with what the market's doing. That automatic firmware update comes out. I don't call Sean and say, hey, Sean, I need another $10,000 from you. Trust me, it's worth it. I'm going to call Sean and say, hey, there's these new features on your sensor or in your camera right now. Can I show you how to use it?
Thanks, Jesse. And what about ongoing support for Pembroke and other schools?
Sure. So in the last 2 years, we've added over 40 employees here in Australia. We've added a bunch of people to our support team. So they're in Sydney, covering all hours of the day whenever Sean would need somebody. There's also resources online that Sean can use, things like help.verkada.com, training.verkada.com. But I'm just a phone call away if it's ever needed.
Fantastic. And Sean, have you and your team had any experience with engaging with Verkada for tech support so far?
The technical support service from Verkada, in our experience, has been absolutely fantastic. Everybody on the team who has access to the Verkada platform also has access to the support personnel and platforms. So we talked about help.verkada before, which is absolutely top-notch, filled with articles, videos, how-tos, and that really enabled our team to get up to scratch and up to speed very quickly.
That's great, thanks Sean. And Jesse, I know we've spoken a lot about cameras and vape sensors today. What other services does Verkada offer?
Sure, so the second product we released was access control. We also have an alarms solution, guest, which is your standard like sign-in platform, mailroom, and we recently released an intercom solution with more to come.
And these are all available in Australia right now?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks so much for joining us today. Thanks Sean and thanks Jesse for your time here at Pembroke. Compnow provides IT built for you. If you'd like to learn more about Verkada and the solution we spoke about today, please reach out to your Compnow account manager or email us at info@compnow.com.au. Thanks and have a great day.